Hey YouTube, what's in the bag? Well, this is from my pal Alan. He's talked about this a while, for a while. I've done quite a lot of his guitars, and this is a Grant Les Paul. I don't even know what colour it is. I've not opened the bag yet, so I figured it's about well. I'm assuming he gave me a couple of guitars. Yeah, this is a Les Paul. Just in case it was the other one. I'm changing pickups and a couple of Ibanez for him. So Grant Guitars, guitar shop in Glasgow. Oh, it's a sunbursty one. Yeah. And this one's in just getting a bit of a clean up. I think it's got some sentimental value. I can't remember exactly what he said. I was quite tired when I picked it up off him. I'm sure it was his uncle's or something like that from the 70s. And he kind of wants to make it work, but not necessarily not put, the tendency with these sort of things is, I'll put Grover tuners on it, Seymour Duncans, and upgrade everything. But basically, I think he just wants it to work. Yeah, so Grant Guitars were a guitar shop in Glasgow. I think there was a few shops kind of kicking about, but there was definitely one in Byres Road in Glasgow. And Jimmy Grant, who owned the shop, imported guitars from Japan. It says made in Japan on the neck plate there. It says it's a bolt-on Les Paul. It does have a carve. I'm not going to say it's got a top. It's got an arched top, not necessarily carved. And you see these badged and branded a lot of different brands, where they were just basically buying guitars from a guitar factory in Japan in the 70s. Not really sure which factory it was. You see an awful lot of people saying, oh, these are Ibanez, but with a different badge on them. And I don't think I've actually seen a genuine Ibanez one. They're also always called lawsuit guitars because it's got the open book. It does have the open book headstock. It's a bit chipped so you can't see it from the front, the proper Gibson thing. So they're always called lawsuit ones, even though there really was only one guitar that was the lawsuit, and there was an Ibanez one, and it never even went to court because as soon as they got the letter in, they just changed the headstock to be a bit different. They can't do anything with the body, but the headstock was the lawsuit thing. So all this lawsuit era's maybe not too bad, because I think that kind of puts it in sort of late 70s. I think it was 77 or something like that happened. But Ibanez went after guitar people like this, because the problem with the Ibanez one was it was as good a guitar, if not better, than a Les Paul. Whereas this is not dissing it at all, of course, but it's not as good as like a set neck properly made one. It's a copy, very much. This one does have the original bridge on it. You see there, it's got plastic saddles on it. This tailpiece, these pickups, I've not actually looked at them properly yet, but they're likely not humbuckers. They're likely a single coil in a humbucker casing. They do actually sound good. I had one of these. Actually, how I know one of my best pals, Wayne, is I bought a Grant guitar off Facebook for a tenner. At one point, it was absolutely manky, and it was like, you see a guitar for a tenner and think, I didn't get it home. It's like, oh, Grant, never heard of them. And then that's how he ended up contacting me, because he runs a site on the Facebook called Grant Guitars MIJ, made in Scotland or sold in Scotland or something like that. He's the kind of known thing, but they did quite a lot. I've actually got a couple of Grants myself. Later on ones, not the Les Paul ones, because I'm not a huge Les Paul fan. I sold the one I shouldn't have. I sold the one I got for a tenner. Didn't sell it for as much as I thought it would. That's kind of one of those things that sort of stung me with eBay. If you're putting things on in an auction, be prepared to sometimes not get what you think it's going to get. The best way I like putting things on eBay is buy it now, best offer. So this one, it does look like it did at one point have the plastic pickguard, because there's a screw hole there and a screw hole there. I suppose I'll plug it in and see if it works. I'm not sure exactly what's wrong with it. I mean, Alan was talking about putting tuners on it, but you see he said it had a headstock break. You can see down the side here. It's like more of a split. It's not the headstock's come off, it's the side, the split bit on the side has come off. Looking at it, I think I don't think it's plywood. Maybe it is. Yes, it is. It's plywood. But plywood's not as in like B&Q plywood. better than that. Is it going to make a noise? Don't even know. It is, yes. I think the chances of it being in tune are pretty low. Not a million miles away from being in tune. Bit of a wobbly input jack. Have I got a strap line about? There's one. No. The red strap has been on about a million guitars. I like this one because it looks good on the Buckfaster casters. So I'll tune it up and make a wee noise with it. Oh, this is like an initial thing. Look at the output jack there. Not the output jack, the strap button. It's actually been bashed inside the guitar, so you can hardly get the strap on. That's the first time I've ever seen that. Still enough to hold the. Still enough to hold it though. Yeah. So. So this is like kind of the old made in Japan thing. You know, I'm obviously, if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I like my 80s made in Japan guitars. But Japan isn't necessarily a sign of pure amazing guitars. It is from certain brands. I'm pointing at ones that aren't Japanese. That one, the one in the corner, is these two. Were very good towards in the early 80s. Not all of them. You still got pants ones, but in this era, they were basically just producing copies. And this guitar, as I said, it's available in many different brands, and the hardware can vary hugely between them. You know, you might find it's got good tuners and like a solid bridge. The one I had before had the bridge was actually bent in like that, just because it's made of really cheap metal. You know, it's like when Grant were buying them, it was like, right, how cheap can you put how cheap what do you call it, hardware can you put on this thing? That's where you get the fake humbuckers, because obviously it must be slightly cheaper to make a single coil than a humbucker. But so that's the bridge pickup. I'd be tempted not actually to do anything with it. I wasn't given any instructions with it. It was just like, take it and see what you think. And obviously I was going to email him to tell him what was I suggested doing. He was talking about putting new tuners on it, but I'm tempted. I just tuned it up there and they seem to work, and tuners don't generally slip, so I'd be tempted just to leave it as stock. Pickup switches the wrong way round. So this is the bridge pickup. Actually looking at the neck pickup, the neck pickup's sitting at a funny angle. The neck pickup, actually the pickup ring is on backwards, so you can see it's sitting at an angle, plus it's made worse by the fact that the pickup ring is making it angle the wrong way. So the bridge pickup's a little bit more. It sounds good. It doesn't sound like a humbucker. Definitely got a single coily. Scratchy pots. What this does have, which a lot of guitars don't have, it's got 40 odd, probably nearly 50 years in it, so it's got like the sort of aging and the well played in feel that you can't. I mean, obviously people pay thousands, £5,000 to get a guitar that's been made to feel and look the way this one already does. Yes, so I don't really know what the point in this video was. It was just like sort of look at what's in the bag. It's a Grant Les Paul, and it's. Well, good, I just turned it off with that. So my view is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean these pots because they're a little bit scratchy. I'm going to flip that pickup ring round so it's the right way round, and then adjust the pickup so they're sitting at a better angle. This one is too close to the bridge pickup. So as soon as you basically touch it at all, although it does sound great when you do that, it's like when if you accidentally bash the string on the pickup cover, it just cuts out because it's so close. Yeah, so I'm not going to do very much to this. It does have it. Interestingly, notice it's got a dot on the first fret on the edge there. Normally it starts at the third, but that's maybe just because it's got the inlay on the front. But these guitars themselves are actually pretty decent. They're well built. Maybe being plywood, and I think this top is likely to be rather than being a carved piece of wood, what it is a flat piece of plywood. So you get like if you imagine a Les Paul Junior body, just been a flat top, and then it's got a couple of blocks sitting on it, and then it's got a piece of thinner, couple of millimetre plywood bent over the top to give it the arch top, rather than actually being a piece of maple that's carved. It's not solid. It's kind of hollow. Only 5-10 mil between this top and the actual body. You can see there actually the makeup. Whether it's plywood. Oops. Yeah. So interesting stuff. I don't know, but the prices of these things are going up through the roof, just because it's made in Japan and it's got that thing on it going, oh, Japanese guitars are amazing, and it's yeah, they can be. It's not I'm just going to say it's not a pro level guitar. I mean, I'm sure it's a sort of guitar that I think probably was gigged back in the day. It's just that because it's got the single coils, it's kind of. It's not a Les Paul, because a Les Paul should have humbuckers in it, even though it looks like it does, but it's still a usable guitar. And it plays really well actually. The action's really low on it. The strings are old, but it just feels very worn in. And it's got a really nice neck on it. I mean, okay, because it doesn't have you see great hardware, it's like, what does a bridge really have to do, really, apart from hold the strings up? You know what I mean? And the tuners, if they don't wibble and they don't slip, obviously it's when you buy more expensive tuners, it feels nice. You turn it, you go, oh, it feels really smooth and lovely. But provided it doesn't slip and it's all right, I wouldn't bother changing them. Especially when you're talking about trying to keep something a bit original. It's got mojo, you can replace the pickups and stuff, but it doesn't have this is a 1970, could be any time guitar. You do see a lot of people try to sell these, and they say, oh, this is an Ibanez with a different badge, or maybe not necessarily a Grant one, but of the multitude of different makes you get, this is kind of like a bog standard. You can get it with thousands of makes. It's just a Les Paul copy from the 70s, and actually, it's fine. You could do an awful lot worse. Assuming you get one that plays like this. Obviously, you've been 40 years old, you might get one that's been bashed, get stickers, people have been in trying to adjust things, the frets are worn down, all these things. That's just what happens with guitars. But this one's definitely got a vibe to it. I wouldn't worry about that crack on the top. It just gives it a little bit more character. It's actually got an inlaid Grant as well. It's like mother of pearl inlaid. Yeah, so and value's a funny thing. It really depends on what someone wants to pay for it. You do see occasionally this kind of guitar, people asking for 500 quid for them and stuff like that, which maybe it is worth that. Just because I remember, once you get a wee bit old like I am, I sort of remember 10, 15 years ago, or maybe even longer ago, maybe 20 years ago, when I was like 20, seeing these sort of guitars kind of kicking about and in the paper, because you didn't have the internet then. But I mean, no, interesting one. Oh, the Mad Malco t-shirt site now works. I'll put the link back down there. There's something to do with having to change one of the settings that I hadn't done. So when I did the advert for these, when I did the video for these, when you actually went to the site, there was no products available. And then I adjusted it, and then it still wasn't working. But I think it takes like 48 hours to catch up or something. So they are available, and I think my pal Dava has managed to sort out this, so I can now, it's now not only black print, you can now get the letters in white, so you can put them on a black t-shirt or something like that. So I think there's technically 2 t-shirts. You can buy this one, which is basically available in about 10 colours. This is high vis, which is actually really good. I would totally, this is the one I would have chosen, even though, because I wasn't really paying attention, there was a lime green and a high vis, and I was looking at the lime green one and I clicked on the high vis one by mistake, so that's why it came out like this. Doesn't show up in videos, but it's the same as what, worky jackets and stewards at football games and all that, where that kind of super bright, you're going to see me type thing. I could have no problem playing this all day. You got a real low action. This hasn't been played in a while. It's a little bit sticky. I mean sticky just as in it needs a wipe. If it's just dirt, dust on it. Yeah, rock and roll. So at least that puts a break in all these bass videos I'm doing this week. I've just got tons of bass stuff I've got to do, and it's like I know not everyone plays the bass, so they're not as interested. But you can find these, not, as I said, not necessarily branded Grant, similar type things, and fun guitars. That's it, but really only thing is, because it's not got humbuckers, it's got single coils, but as you can hear, they still sound great. It's just not this, they're not humbuckery. They're more for my type of playing, rather than if you're mad into super metal, you know what I mean. They don't quite have that fat humbuckery sound, if that's what you're after. Rock on!